Hey friends, Allie here. Today I'm going to show you some exercises you can do with your resistance bands because a lot of us have them and we just have no idea what to do with them. So I'm going to teach you some things. I have like a really light, a medium, and a heavy. If you've got one of those packs of 5, sometimes the very heaviest and very lightest can be just like a little too much, not quite enough. So try staying within those mid 3. I'll show you which band I'm using for which exercise, and you can kind of decide for yourself what makes sense. We're all at different levels, so you listen to your body. If you feel like you're straining, come down a size or a resistance level. And then, you work up to working heavier. That's how bodies work. We need to like give them little bits at a time so they get stronger. So I always am telling my clients the importance of glutes and core muscles being on and active before we do a lot. So we're going to kind of start there. I'm going to use my medium resistance band and I'm going to take it around my ankles and do some side shuffles. This is one of the most basic things. You'll often see people do this in like physical therapy. What this does, you're sort of just like coming out and in. I like to keep the knees bent and a little hinge in the hips. So we're working the outer parts of the thighs and glutes, activating the hip stabilizing muscles, which a lot of us kind of forget we have. So this is a good way. You can go back and forth. You can just do one in, one out like this. When you start feeling that little bit of burn, you know something's working. So you want to keep breathing as you're moving. I'm just going to demonstrate. I'm not going to do a full set of things. So you decide how many or how few of these you want to do. I will say try not to push yourself so hard where you're like immediately sore, because you want to be able to do this consistently and keep it sustainable. The next one, I'm going to keep the medium resistance band for this. It's a little hinge. So you're going to take the band under one foot. Now, if you need to hold on to something, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm someone who has incredible balance because I'm a dancer and I was a gymnast, and I don't need to hold on to things, but it is absolutely okay. It's not cheating if you need to hold on to stuff, okay? So we've got this other foot in the back. It's sort of like decoration. The heel stays high. Most of my weight is in the front foot. Now, the important thing is I'm not going to let my shoulder drop out of its socket. I'm going to keep my shoulder back, but the arm doesn't do anything. All you do is stand yourself up and hinge back down. So what that hinge is it's getting our glute to work. These are such important muscles for everything we do. In our like kind of white American culture, we're not paying attention a lot of times to these muscles, but they matter. They help us do everything. When we're getting down and up from the floor, weeding in the garden, when we're picking things up, picking our children up, whatever it is, we need these muscles to work. Otherwise, our back gets involved, and then we're like, why does my back hurt? So I'm just going to do a few on the other side so I feel a little even in my body, and you can see from a different angle. So most of my weight's here. If you're someone who is like, this is super easy, maybe you take up the resistance a notch, or you can even, let me back up so you can see me better. You can even hover that back foot off the floor as you do this. It's just ways to make it a little more complicated if you feel like you need that. So let's take this to the floor. I'm going to use my heavier resistance band for this one. I'm sort of like switching body parts here a little bit. So we sort of worked the outsides first, then the glute max. Now we're going to get into some of the outsides again by taking the band up around the thighs. I like to say close to the knees, because the closer you are to the knees, the more resistance is created. When you're way up here, you're getting some work, but it just doesn't have the leverage to create the resistance we're looking for. So you're going to come all the way onto your back and notice how much of your spine is touching the floor. You don't have to be flush to the floor because our spines do have a natural curve, but you want to be somewhat on the ground. Now, with your toes and heels planted, You'll lift your hips. It's a bridge position. And then once you're there, take the knees apart and back in, keeping the hips high, but also keeping the toes down. It's a little tougher that way, but you're going to work different muscles. So important to always be breathing while you're doing this stuff. Our oxygen intake fuels the muscles that we're working. Another thing you can do here with the hips high is start to march, taking a knee towards you, putting the foot gently back to the floor. These bands will tend to roll and slip. Just let it happen unless it's hurting you. You might see mine like roll down my legs a little bit like this. It happens. If you want to take this up a notch, opposite arm and leg can come up. And now my band is just kind of right up around my thighs. So still creating some resistance, but you'll notice this happens. Sometimes people enjoy the fabric bands to use around their thighs for this reason, because the silicone ones can slip. But you can use the silicone ones for a lot more than you can use the fabric ones for. So next thing, we're going to take a little seat. I love to use my yoga blocks or a cushion to sit on, just because it's like a nice little something to perch on. So we're going to take a nice tall seat. Band comes around the wrists. And then here's the important part here. Shoulders roll up, back, and down. So the shoulder blades are engaged towards each other here. You keep your elbows right at your rib cage. Maybe the palms face each other or slightly up. And you separate. This is my medium band. This can also be done with the lightest one. It's a tough move. So you may need to go to a light band, and that's fine. So little out, little in. I'll usually do 6 to 10 of these. Another thing I like to do from this position, again, I'm gonna move to my lighter band for this one also. Same setup. Instead of having the palms facing each other or up, you can kind of set yourself up so they're forward. So again, shoulder blades up, back, and down. You lift your arms, make a cactus. So this comes a little behind the head if possible. If that's completely not happening, right in front of your face is fine too. And then you start over. So you're kind of in front, lift up, maybe behind, back up, and forward. So working all the shoulder stabilizing muscles. Again, we want to make sure our shoulders are not coming up to our ears here. We're gonna use some of the incorrect muscles that way. Another thing, I'm gonna just keep the light band. You can even go to a medium or heavy if you need to. Are some rows. These can be done from a high position, and if you feel like this is gonna fall, you hold on to it, kind of row. You can hold on to both ends if you want. Maybe you alternate sides. And it's really more about the back muscles than the arm muscles. So think about shoulder blade wrapping towards the spine and your elbow reaches to the floor. Now you can also do this out in front of you, rowing back, release, row back, release. I'm going to show you another version of this in a little bit. So those are some fun things to do. I'm going to take this back to my medium band to show you the next one. So coming off my block, we're getting back into glutes. So I'll take my band around the tops and bottoms of my feet. And then here's the trick. When we get into position, a lot of times if you let your feet come close together, the band will fall off. So you got to keep a little tension on the band. And then we're going to swing ourselves to our hands and knees like this. So we've got our band back here. I'm going to come forward. You might lose the front of me. That's okay. So shoulders on top of the knuckles, hips on top of the knees. Everything's nice and square. You're going to keep your toes tucked under so they're pressing into the floor. One leg will kick back and then you gently come back in. Maybe your knee doesn't even touch the floor. It's just a hover. I'll usually do around 10 of these on each side to show you what the other side looks like. One thing that is good to pay attention to here is if we've got slightly weaker hip, glute, stabilizing muscles, what you'll see happen in your body, I'll do this a little dramatically so you can see it. When we stick our leg back, sometimes our hip wants to fall to the side. So we have to like keep ourselves centered in order to get the right muscles working. That's a great way to get similar to the hinges we did standing, get the glutes working. I'm gonna now take this around my wrist to show you something different. So you can do this with both knees and feet on the floor. Just keeping the shoulder blades up, back, and down, reaching to one side, reaching to the other. There's a lot of muscles in the shoulder girdle that are working to stabilize you here. If this feels easy and you need a little more of a challenge, you can float one leg back and either the top of my other foot or the ball of my other foot presses down. It's the opposite arm that will reach to the side and back to center. This is a variation of a balancing tabletop. So that's a cool thing you can do there. Same thing on the other side. I'm just going to show you a few of them. My room is small. I'm hitting my wall. And then another thing you can do, just giving you variations on different moves, is in a plank or a knee down plank. I'll show you this in a knee down plank with my medium band. We can get some rows. So again, like feet can be down, keeping the shoulders in a good spot, row back down. Maybe you alternate. If this is easy, you take yourself to a full plank. Make sure you're breathing. Just showing you a couple, and there's a couple more. What did I want to show you? That's right. I'm going to use my heavy band, pardon me, for this one. So if you would like to sit, sometimes it feels nice to sit up on something. So I'm going to just take my little yoga block under my bum. Getting the hips elevated just helps to, if you're someone with tight hips especially, elevating the hips can help to get yourself in a better position where you don't feel so crunched, like you're trying to like be a turtle on the floor, if you will. So taking the band around one foot, this is just a different variation of a row. I like to lengthen out the leg that doesn't have the band on it, just so it's sort of out of my way. Again, as always, shoulder blade up, back, and down. I'm sitting really tall. If you want a little more, you lean back so your core gets a little more involved. Hand can be somewhere on you. If it's on the floor, you're not leaning into it. And then you row. Back of the elbow reaches behind you. Shoulder blade is hugging onto the back towards the spine. You do as many as you want. I sometimes have people do like 15 or 20 of these. Same exact thing on the other side, wrapping the shoulder blade back, pulling and releasing. Amazing. So one more thing I'll show you. I'm going to take this to the light band. We're going to stand on up and get the core and hip flexors working. Now, I will say this. If you have a slightly weaker core, which is very common, there's nothing wrong with it, you're going to feel your hip flexors and your quads try and take over this. So we have to intentionally put our attention into these muscles between our belly button and pubic bone. There's these core muscles that live low here that we tend not to use that much in our culture unless you're someone who's doing like Pilates or bar or yoga. So we have to literally go, hey, I need you to work, please. And one way to do that is this slight little tailbone tuck. As soon as you bend your knees and you tuck your tail a little bit, you may feel that spot. Now what we're gonna do is march. So you're taking one foot up and down, and it's slow, up and down. And you're gonna notice your hip flexors will work. They have to. This is what hip flexors do, is they flex our hips. But we're also telling these muscles, I would like you to help me. Now you can hold your arms out in front of you or up above you as you do this. Another variation of this is getting the side to side motion involved in lifting the leg. So if your balance is awesome, you step, you take your foot in, lift it up, back down, out to the side, and then you do the other side, up and in, down and out. So this is the lightest band. You can do this with a medium one if this feels easy, but really keep yourself thinking about these muscles working. They matter a lot, all right? So I think that's plenty for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Share it with anyone that you think would benefit. or anyone you know who has these bands and they have no idea what they're doing with them. Great to see you. Until I see you next time, be well.